Good morning, guys, and welcome to Medical Math. This is Mr. Justice, and we are at the Miller Vocational Center today, and we are going to do a short lesson on a kind of a remembrance of a refresher on fractions. So in your assignment that I have posted on Canvas, you're going to be doing Unit 6, Addition of Common Fractions, in your practical problems. Here we go, practical problems for health occupations. Now, by this time we have talked about addition, subtraction, long division. We've looked at combinations of operations and numbers and whole numbers, and now we're going to get a little bit into fractions. I realize that we don't like fractions sometimes, but they're very necessary. And they can be very simple. So with just a little bit of thought and a little refresher, this is what we're going to do. Now, in the assignment, you have Unit 6, problems 1 through 5, noting that there are multiple problems within that. There's 5 points per question, and we're going to go over addition of fractions with you right now. So, again, I hope you all are safe and well. This is a Friday morning. We've got the holiday weekend coming up, Thanksgiving. I know that there is a damper in not only our community, but in the state and in the nation with what we're facing with COVID-19. But we will persevere. We will continue on. So as we look at fractions, common fractions, we're going to go through this together. Okay. Now realize that I'm trying to read this a little bit backward, and we're going to look at basic principles, addition of whole numbers. So this is the page you need to be on in your book, okay? Now, as we look at this, we're going to go through this together. A common fraction is a quantity that is smaller than a whole number. An example would be a half, 1/2. So if you have a whole of something, if you have an apple, and you cut it in half, you have 1/2. That represents a fraction, half. This means a whole number has been divided into 2 parts, and the quantity equals one of the 2 parts. The number above the line is a common fraction, is called a numerator. And the number below the line is called a denominator. As you can see right here, as an example, we have 3/4. Let me get my thing here. The numerator is 3, the denominator is 4. When common fractions are added, the denominator of each fraction must be the same. When the denominators are all the same, only the numerators are added. The sum obtained is then placed over the denominator, okay? So we have a numerator and we have a denominator. The problem comes in is if we do not have a denominator that is the same. So you have to find the lowest common denominator that both the numerator and the denominator can go into. The denominator at least once, the numerator as many times as necessary to create the fraction. So when the denominators are not the same, the lowest common denominator must be, let me find it here, must be found. A lowest common denominator is the smallest number that all the denominators can be divided into evenly. For the numbers 2/3, 1/2, and 1/4, the lowest common denominator would be 12. This is the first number that can be divided evenly by 3, 2, and 4. After the lowest common denominator has been found, each fraction must be converted to a fraction with the lowest common denominator. To do this, we're going to divide the denominator of the fraction to be changed into the lowest common denominator to obtain a quotient. Multiply the numerator of the fraction that is to be changed by, and let me change the page. Here we go. This quotient. Now, with that being said, and place this product over the common denominator. Then add the numerators and place the sum over the common denominator to obtain the answer. So we have determined, for example, 2/3. So you're going to take 12 plus 3 equals 4. 12 plus 3 equals 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. All right, so the lowest common would be 12. And then you have 1/2 and you have 1/4. A fraction must also be reduced to its lowest terms. If the answer for the examples above, both 8/12 and 17/12 are not in lowest terms in 8/12, or is that 9? Yeah, 8/12. I'm sorry, 9/12. Both the 9 and the 12 can be divided by 3 to reduce the fraction. Divide both the numerator and denominator by the same number to obtain the answer. In this case, it is 3/4. Okay, so as we look at this, we have 2/3, 1/2, and 1/4. The common denominator is going to be 12. Okay, so we have 12 plus 3 equals 4. Or I'm sorry, I said plus, excuse me, divided, forgive me, divided by 3 equals 4. So as we look at that, 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 4 is 12. So we have 8/12, we have 6/12, and we have 3/12 by determining that 17/12. Now, if we wanted to reduce that to lowest terms, then what we would have is 12 will go into 17 one time, so you have 1. Minus the 12 from the 17 would be 5, so you would have 1 and 5/12 as you reduce that. Example here, 9/12. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So your answer in reducing that would be 3/4. The fraction 17/12 represents 20, and this is what I did just a moment ago. 1 and remainder 5, and the remainder is placed over the denominator of the original fraction, and a mixed number is the answer. A mixed number is a mixture of a whole number and a fraction. All right, let's talk about adding mixed numbers. I wish we were together with the Lord. So let's take a look at mixed numbers here. All right, let me turn this around. Sorry. All right. To add mixed numbers, line up the numbers in a column. Okay. So add the whole numbers together first, then make sure the fractions all have the same common denominator, or convert them to a fraction with a common denominator. Add the numerators together, write the sum obtained over the common denominator, and reduce the fraction as necessary. If a whole number is obtained while reducing the fraction, add it to the sum of the whole numbers. Then write the sum of the whole numbers and the fraction as the answer. So let's go to the next page, and let's take a look at the example. So what we have here is 1 and 1/2 plus 3 and 3/4. Now, as we line that up here we go, line it up, we've lined it up. Now, as we look at this, we know that 4 will go into 4 one time, and we know that 2 will go into 4 two times. So, let me put that over here. As we line that up, as you can see, what we come up with is 3 plus, or 1 and, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm trying to look at this backward. So you're going to line it up. So we know that the whole numbers are equaling 4, okay? And then as we begin to add the 1/2 and 3/4, we know that 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 1 times 2 equals 2, and 2 times 2 equals 4. So we have 1 and 2/4, and then we have 3 and 3/4. All right, and then we're going to add those, okay? So as we bring it down, so we know that it would equal, if we add the fractions, we would equal 1 and 1/4. So we're going to take that 3, that's up at the top, on the top left of the paper here. We're going to take that 3 equals 4, and then we're going to add that 1 and 1/4 that we figured out over here by working with the fractions and taking care of those. And so we're going to equal with 5 and 1/4. Your answer is 5 and 1/4 because we reduce that. And remember, if while we are working with the fractions, if we end up with a whole number, we're just going to add that to the sum of the whole numbers. So here's your problems, 1 through 4. Now you'll notice that number 1 has several problems in it, A through E. And then you have number 2, number 3, and number 4. And on the back, we have a graph that we're going to work with in adding those. Okay, here we go. Let me find that. So 5, an occupational therapist is keeping a record of the physical activity of a cardiac patient. He records how far the patient walks each day, how many times did the patient walk for the week. So that's what we want to know. How many times did the patient, how how many miles did the patient walk for the week? And this is going to be where we're going to put our answer. But we have to add each day. We have a fourth of a mile, a third of a mile, a half a mile, 7/12 of a mile, 3/4 of a mile, 5/6 of a mile, and then by Saturday, by the end of the week, he equaled a mile. So we need to add all those. So what we're going to do, we have a whole number there. We have 1 mile, and that being on Saturday. Let me go over here. That being on Saturday. So that's your whole number, and then we're going to add all these numbers. Now we have to find a number, a common, and I'm going to help you here. Hopefully I'm going to help you here. We're going to find a common denominator. Now as we look at that, the highest denominator that we have is 12. Now will all those other denominators fit into 12? Short answer, yes, they will. So that's going to be your, hint, that's going to be your common denominator. All right, and then we're going to add it up. Now realizing you're going to have some extra whole numbers there to add to that 1 after you line this problem up. All right, so that is your assignment. That is the lecture. It's hard to teach for me. It's hard to teach math virtually. If you have a problem, send me an email, send me a message. We will go through this. I have excellent resources. I have a math teacher in the building, an excellent math teacher. I mean, I can talk to you about nursing math, and we can add certain problems together. But I appreciate having our principal, Mr. Roberts, who is an excellent math teacher, that I can use as a resource. That the way I present something, if I can't get it across, maybe I can find someone who will be able to get it across in a manner that you would be able to understand it better. I realize this is a review for you, that you've had this probably in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, going up, and now you're in high school. Sometimes we have went on to other higher levels of learning, higher levels of math, and sometimes we forget the basics. Sometimes I have to sit down and think about it myself. If I don't deal with it every day, I have to think about it. But it's not that we might not be able to do it immediately, but we know where to get the resources in order to get it accomplished. And when we deal with it every day, it becomes natural to us. We're able to do it maybe without so much thinking. Kind of like the times tables that we went through. Counting change back from your local grocery store clerk who's giving you money back after you give them a 20 and it's $15.90, and you know that's got that you're ending up with $3.10, $4.10 left, or something like that. Being able to calculate in your head. So that's something that's really good. That's a good skill to have, and that's something that we want to encourage us to get those skills. So we're looking at practical problems in math and in health occupations. We are going over the addition of common fractions with the mix of whole numbers and fractions to get a result, to get a sum. So that's kind of what we're looking at. I'm glad we have resources available to help us to understand this. We'll do this review. I've got the assignment day that it's due. I will probably go ahead, because after this, not only do we have, if you want to take a peek at the next unit that we're going to look at, Unit 7 is subtraction. So we've done addition, we're doing subtraction. What I think is going to be really neat is when we go into averages and estimates, apothecary systems, we get into thermometers and reading thermometers, those kind of things. But let's start with some basics, and then we will move on from there. If you have any questions, again, email me, Mr. Justice, Health Science. Guys, have a great weekend. If I don't get to see you, I will probably post again. But if I don't get to see you virtually or talk with you through correspondence before Thanksgiving, I hope you have a safe and wonderful Thanksgiving. And until then, take care.